It's summertime and I'm 13 years old, and I spend a lot of my time at my best friend's house. And we have so much fun together. Her dad is Mexican and her mom is, I don't know, she's a very pale woman with blonde hair, and so they just made a very pretty baby, which is my friend, now 13, just like me. She's just very pretty, and she has long black hair all the way past her butt, and it's straight. And I just love her. She's so much fun. We don't have any cares. We just are playing all the time. And her younger sister plays with us too. She's only a couple years younger. My best friend's name is Yolanda, and her sister's name is Rachel. And we have no cares in the world. And it's a hot summer day. And we've been playing outside like crazy. Just digging up things. We played football with the neighbor boys. We were at the playground earlier doing flips on the bars. And they even had a little lunch at the school for kids to come, and you could come have a free lunch. We did that, and it was really fun. And that was only about a block away from their house. But now we are sweating like crazy, so we run back to their house on the sidewalk, and we're running as fast as we can, just laughing and giggling. And we see their dog. It's almost like a husky mutt type dog mix, I don't know. But she's a really nice dog. Her name is Xena, and she's excited to see us, and she's running around in the yard, and we stop and pet Xena and hug her and wall her a little bit. And we run into the house, and her mom has some fudge popsicles for us. Fudge-sicles, I think is what they're called. And as soon as we get one out, they're melting, and so we're just licking them as fast as we can, because the only air conditioning they have in this very hot day is a window unit. So we all run over to the window unit and let the cool air just blow against our necks and our faces while we lick our fudge-sicles, and it's really fun. And Rachel gets distracted and starts doing something with her mom, and so it's just Yolanda and I, and so we were just having a great time licking our fudge-sicles. And when we're all done, we start tossing Beanie Babies back and forth. I sit at one corner of the room, it's the living room, and she sits at the other corner on the floor. And as we talk just about anything and everything, we each have a Beanie Baby, and we toss it at the same time, and we catch it at the same time, back and forth. And we do this probably for an hour, maybe more, because it is so fun to just be talking with your best friend about nothing important, just fun stuff. And we're just so young and strong, and we love to be active, so we just keep throwing back and forth, and we're perfecting spinning these Beanie Babies as we throw them, and catching them with one hand and throwing them so the other friend has to kind of jump to go get it and then sit back down. We're using our abs and our biceps, and it just really feels good. And we stick close to the air conditioning unit. That's really a big reason why we're sitting in this room for so long too. A little bit later, we decide to go upstairs, kind of to their attic area, but that's where Yolanda's room is. And we go in there and we find a book that we would like to read. And we start reading it. We take turns. She reads a chapter, and then I read a chapter, and we're just laying on our bed, hanging around. And it's kind of a sad book, and we kind of cry together, and we end up reading the whole book. We're there just for hours hanging out. It's a really riveting book. Of course, it's a young adult book. It's not all that long. And it was sad, though. By the end of it, we're just in tears. And it's just kind of fun to cry together. And then it's getting close to supper time, but we still just want to hang out a little bit. But her mom calls us down to supper. And Rachel's with us again, and her dad's home. He's a mechanic, and he has a really cool car that he lets us ride in sometimes. But he's home, and we eat our supper, just kind of laughing and talking. And I feel so at home. I feel like one of the family, just like a sister. And it's just kind of funny to me to see their dark Mexican dad with their very, very pale, I think she has Irish in her, mom. They're just such an opposite looking couple, but they go together really well. Her mom is so much fun, and she's so silly, and her dad is pretty serious and a very firm man, but he's also very kind. And after supper, some of the neighbor kids come over and they want to play capture the flag, and it's starting to get a little bit dark, but we go out to play capture the flag, and we are screaming and laughing and having so much fun, just running around the house. And her mom comes out and yells at us to be quiet, and we're having so much fun we actually ignore her. And at one point I am running as fast as I can towards the line, and I try to stop myself with my foot, and I kind of slide in the grass just as her mom comes out and says, "You all need to be quiet." So we decide it's probably time to settle down. The neighbor kids go home, and we decide to put a movie on. And it's a fun one. It's really just a silly movie for teen girls to enjoy. We have some popcorn. We're having a really fun time. We're sitting on beanbag chairs, and just like teenage girls, everything is just funny for some reason. And then it's time for bed, and we get in our pajamas, and Rachel goes back to her room, but then we start taking pictures. We have one of those throwaway cameras that we got, and we start making silly faces and start taking pictures, and we end up being up for hours more, just having a great time. And these pictures later that we print out become great memories. We're just being so silly. And eventually we fall asleep, and we get to sleep in because it's summertime. And the next day we get to do whatever we want. It is so much fun being here. So the first thing we do after breakfast and lazing around is we walk a few blocks to this food truck. It's actually a slushy truck, or shaved ice, I should say. And we have just enough money to buy one. So we buy one, the two girls and I, and it's cherry. And we all take turns slurping on it. It's like the yummiest thing ever. It's so good because it's right in the middle of hot, sticky summer. And her mom says that later in the day, if we want to, we can be big girls and take the city bus and go over to the mall. So we get our quarters ready for the bus, and we wait at the stop, which is like right at the corner of where they live. And we get on the bus, and it takes us straight to the mall. It's a big mall, and we get to hang out there for hours. And the first thing we see in the mall is a photo booth, and we always stop here when we go in. You get to take 4 photos for about $1, and then they give you a little strip of photos. And so we all go in there, we squeeze in there and get all of our heads in there and make as many silly faces as we can, sticking our tongues out, trying to look like we're upside down, and kissing each other on the cheeks. And then in 3 minutes, the photo strip pops out, and we're laughing at it. And one of us puts it in our bag, and we keep walking, and there is a candy shop, and you can get 10 pieces of candy for $1. They have a little section where you can pick out 10 pieces, and her mom gave us a little bit of money, and so we all pick out a few pieces and put it towards our 10 pieces. And there are jawbreakers and Smarties, pieces of double bubble gum. And once we pick out our favorite things, we put it in a bag and we start eating them. And there's a store called Claire's that we like to go to, and we walk over there. The floor of the hallway of the mall is this dark brown reddish brick, and there's a fountain in the middle of the hallway, and there are seats, and it's almost echoey sounding as you walk, and there are lots of people walking, and lots of teens like us, and just young people having a good time. Don't really have much money to spend, but just there to hang out. And we go over to Claire's because they have little earrings and lots of cheap jewelry to look at, just everything a young girl could want. And we look around there for a while, go in some clothing stores. And as time moves on, we decide we are going to go to the theater, the cinema, which they have over at the very end of the mall. And we pick out a movie that, again, is just one of those silly chick flicks for teen girls. And we're so excited because there's such a hot guy in it, and we're excited to go see this movie that we've seen commercials of, trailers. And this is the one thing that her mom gave us the most money for this, and this is what we're spending our money on. And along with the candy we already got, we get to have a bunch of Skittles. We buy some Skittles. And we go into the theater, and there aren't too many people in there, and we sit in the very front seats, which is really about the most terrible place you could sit. But when you're young, it's fun. Your neck's all craned up. But the screen seems even bigger. And we start throwing candy at each other, not even concerned about anyone else. And we're just having so much fun until we kind of notice people are getting annoyed. So we decide to just enjoy the movie. And it's a really fun movie, and it has Lindsay Lohan in it, which she's popular at the time, and we enjoy watching her, and lots of pink fluffy clothing. And then it's time to go back home, and her mom is picking us up because it's starting to get kind of dark. And at the appointed time, we go out and meet Yolanda's mom in front of the mall, and we all jump in. And she says, "How was it? Did y'all have a good time?" And we are so excited. We're telling her 100 miles a minute just exactly what we did, and she's such a nice person. If she cares to hear all these details, probably not, but we're having so much fun describing everything we did and saw, and the people we saw in the movie. And we even went to an arcade, and it was a lot of fun and lots of noise, and yeah, it was great. So we go back home, and I know I'm gonna have to go back home to my house tomorrow, but I've had a great time, and I can't wait to come visit again, and I'm so thankful that my parents let me come and spend time with my best friend.